and we are United by Race, where we talk about all things uh, AMPINH. One of these days, let's just say the whole thing. But anyway, I am Junko Goda. I'm one of the co-hosts.
And this is Ben Lee. I'm the other co-host. Yeah, I think we need to script AANHPI or however you want to say it.
Yeah,
Or maybe in
sometimes
26 we'll flip and I can do some intros. I don't know. Um,
yeah, we could take turns. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. That's true. But
we need.
I wonder. Yeah, some days it's like pretty effortless. Some days, well, it's the middle of the
Yeah.
holidays, maybe. Some days
Well,
not
it
so
is.
much.
It is the holiday, so it is officially Christmas Eve. Happy Christmas Eve! I think
Yeah.
we'll probably launch this episode or publish this episode. My guess is a couple days from now, so
Yeah.
sometime between Christmas and New Year. So hopefully everybody's having a great holidays. And our guest for this episode is Rachel Michiko Whitney, who is a young up and coming, like really up and coming, like fairly fresh out of film school,
Yeah.
but has a couple shorts out there, including one that we talk about called Yonsei. Am I saying that right?
Yonsei. Yeah. I guess technically it's Yonsei.
Yonsei,
Why?
and
Yeah.
what you know what this means. So why don't you tell people what the film's about and what the name means?
Yeah. So it's kind of her like half documentary, half scripted of her perspective on her Japanese heritage. She's Japanese American fourth generation, and how the numbering with Japanese American goes that the generation that actually moved from Japan to here, they're called the Issei, which is the first generation. And then subsequent generations would be then your first generation born in the States then is named Nisei, Sansei, Yonsei. Um, I think I don't know, if you have a scientific background and you're tracking generations, it technically doesn't make sense because the Nisei
Yeah,
generation would be considered the first generation to be born. So you would be naming them Issei. So I had a good couple of years where I was a little confused about that because my family immigrated in the 70s.
but
So
that only applies to. I think that's how it's always been for Japanese, right? And then the other Asian cultures tend to
yeah,
do
and
it the
so
way you
yeah,
think. Yeah,
right. So there's kind of a different conversation you end up having depending on what like ethnicity you are. I think and just
yeah,
like and just immigrant and plus, like immigration itself is so fluid, so, and someone's mom is like third generation Chinese, someone else's dad is like second generation
mm,
Japanese, it's America too, so you have to get used
yeah.
to the semantics. But yeah, Yonsei is then the fourth generation. And yeah, it's interesting, and um yeah, I'm like, I don't know how else to really um describe it, but it's going through the festivals right now.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think it's a good
she's got a
it's a good taste
few.
for what's to
Yeah, I think
come.
there's a couple right after the new year. I know Napa Valley is one of them.
Yeah, and
We'll
New
post the
York.
updates. Yep. Okay,
Yeah, Dances with Films New York is
that's right.
the other one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. The story is, I guess it's a little bit longer than some shorts. Like this one's about
Mm,
35 minutes, right? And so there's quite a bit in the story. She tackles obviously the generational things there because her grandma actually is in the film, and her grandma
mhm.
is 101, 102, something like that now. I
I
think
think she
100.
said 102. I think she says
Yeah,
102. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. So super cute. Her mom also in some ways is the subject of the first part of the documentary because you think it's going to be really kind of a biography about her mother who was an actress during, I
Like the
guess
90s. I think the 90s is when she
80s,
worked the
maybe
most.
80s, 90s. Yeah. And so obviously one of the OGs, we like to call them, who
Mhm.
had the whole variety of roles of, roles that super proud of, and she's pushing barriers, and then roles where she had to play stereotypes. But I think that generation saw it in different ways too. And we learn a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
And I
And
think
then,
overall this year, like we had a good number of OGs that you kind of get a
yeah,
sense of what it was like in the 80s and 90s and even, before that. So I think we've been able to touch upon a good number of decades of Asian America in entertainment.
Mhm. And she was also able to get some clips with George Takei, right? Because
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
grandmother
They were
and George were
yeah.
at a internment camp in the 1944 or 1942 probably,
Mm,
in I think it's Arkansas, right? So also a very
yeah.
interesting
Roar, yeah,
little bit
roar.
of history of her family, but then obviously Japanese American history that I think again this film isn't going to dive into it in a real deep way as a short, but she touches on a lot of things in the film. I
Mm,
enjoyed it quite a bit.
yeah. By the way, is your
Well,
dog making a guest appearance? Is that your dog?
oh, yeah, he's on my lap. He's got his Santa suit. We'll end the year.
Oh,
We'll end the
yep.
year strong. Um,
I just saw this little like I have to point
a
it
little
out.
fur
I saw this little
fluff.
yeah, like funny thing. I'm like, I know you don't like clutch a stuffed animal during these things,
Yeah.
so I'm like, it must be your dog.
Hey, you don't know. You don't know what's
Oh.
going on below the screen. I could be having a stuffed animal. The reality is we'd probably get a lot more views if I had my dogs on screen more often. We should incorporate that more in 2026.
I know. Mine actually, I dressed up Copper in a Santa suit and kind of I took her around Little
Mm,
Tokyo yesterday, I think, or 2 days
good.
ago. Yeah, yeah, before the rains. It's like raining cats and dogs here in Los Angeles. A lot
Same,
of
same up
yeah,
here.
warnings. Are you guys getting like flood
Flood warnings.
warnings
Yep,
for?
yep,
Okay, okay,
same.
yeah, we are too.
Yeah, yeah. It's no fun. Although today's actually quite a nice day, surprisingly, but it's probably the
That is
only
good.
nice day in like a 10-day stretch that we're having. But we also
Yeah, I
need the
think it's
rain,
supposed to rain
so
next. Yeah. Oh
yeah,
wow. Yeah. I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. We're like, everyone's like concerned with the burn scar areas down
Mm,
here with the Eaton fire and the Palisades fires. So
sure,
we'll see.
sure. Well,
We'll see
fingers
how it
crossed.
goes.
Well, it's I think we're recording something like episode number 43 or 44, so we should just probably
Yeah.
touch on this is our year end episode, right? And touch upon uh kind of some highlights of the year and doing this podcast. I think for me we started this almost as a proof of concept, and
Yeah.
the biggest concern I had up front was could we get guests at a regular rate, which I think we learned very quickly. Oh, yes, we can, right? Because
Hmm.
per our thesis statement, there's not just an audience, but there are a lot of voices that want to have their stories told. And
Hmm.
so while we're able to pull an occasional A-lister, it's been nice to do that. Um, and then I think the second thing I was most nervous about is could we produce the thing? and
Yeah.
and that's where I'm sure if people are watching with a really critical eye, was probably not our strength yet, but we will continue
Yeah. We'll get
to
there.
improve upon that in 26. But what's kept you going with the podcast? I mean, I think I again when we first talked about it and started doing it, we just went and we didn't have a real plan, we didn't have a schedule, and here we are 40 episodes later.
Yeah, I think for me, it's been able to ask like background questions to my friends that I had never,
Mm,
really thought about. So recent episode would be like Dom.
hmm
Um, and, from someone like Dom to like Issa, who's, one of our earlier guests. And Issa I've known, yeah, I've known since like pre Hamilton and all that stuff. So it's been
sure,
really
yeah,
fun to see her growing, coming along, but then at the same time, like, but then getting to know someone like Dom and, like what's still kind of sticking with me from that conversation was um, that the founding of East West Players was pretty amazing because you had so many like kind of heavy handed actors and stuff that like, I mean, and everyone can be pretty stubborn. Everyone might want to lead. And having having such large personalities being able to work together, because I'm sure before East West Players, there were a couple of attempts to have different, ensembles and stuff,
hmm
but it was about, who would end up lasting the longest. So,
Yeah.
so that was really kind of something that I keep remembering, you know,
Yeah.
since we
Y-
recorded it.
I think it's interesting when we started, I think we thought you'd have to use the friend card a lot this year to get guests. And we actually haven't had to do that much. We've had a steady stream just coming in through PR or Instagram requests, different things
Yeah.
like that. I mean, to be honest, we don't try that hard to find guests. I shouldn't say that, but we we've had good luck, right, and good fortune.
Yeah, yeah, I think we've been more, like, backlogged
Exactly,
than,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
so behind in that way. Now we have to
yeah.
play catch up more than scrambling to find guests, so,
Yeah. So
yeah.
your favorite guests have been people that you've had some history with. So people like Dom,
Yeah,
Lisa.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's funny, like, "Oh, shoot, I should've, like, brought up our matrix." Do we even have a matrix?
We at one
No,
point we
we
created a
should.
list. Yeah.
We
At one point we
did, we
created a
did.
target list. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a future, intern.
Yeah.
Some fantasy intern who will maybe help with some of the
Yeah.
archiving.
Actually, that's a good call out. We should give a shout out to Leanne Pham, who's been a
Mm,
producer for us, Mike Fung, who has done some artwork for us, and then someone who's popped in for one interview and she's going to
mm,
start helping, particularly Leanne on the marketing side and social side, is Seisha Dasari. So thank you
mm.
to, we do get some support on this. All of us have full time jobs, so that's why we're still not at the maybe the official Spotify podcast level of production. But again, I think we're getting there.
Yeah, I think so, and, like, a lot of this, like, technology is pretty accessible.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Everybody's
yeah,
got a podcast, right? There, it's true. It's
yeah,
not hard to get started, right? And so hopefully
yeah,
we're producing quality enough content. Um,
yeah,
any guess? So if you had a wish list for
mm,
2026, um,
mm.
and obviously someone that we haven't, I guess it could be someone we've talked to before, but if you had a wish list of 26, who would be your top few people you'd want to try to get on here?
26, I mean, kinda off the top of my head, might be, like, George Takei,
Oh, okay.
maybe?
Do you have a, can you, I mean, he's everywhere in terms of whether it's cons or involved in independent projects or large projects. I'm sure there's probably a way. I don't know. Do you, given your community, have you interacted with him
Yeah.
much?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I know how his peoples work. I know what George Takei Inc. how it works.
Yeah.
Um, so it is like a matter of like asking, but I
Yeah.
think I think the biggest question for us is like George has done, and I always call him Uncle George. Which is kind of weird, I suppose. I bumped into him at
It's very respectful. It's, we're
I
still
get
Asian.
I get yeah. Yeah, I bumped into him unexpectedly, behind the scenes at New York Anime or Comic-Con, I forgot which one.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"Uncle George!" He was kinda like, "I don't remember you, lady." Anyway, but he was very, very gracious. But I think the onus would be on us to be like, what kind of questions do you ask him when he's pretty
Sure.
much answered every single
Sure.
question,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So that would be, but
So
I also,
George.
yeah. So I would think that we would need to like actually sit down and do real podcast homework and like have an
you're
actual proposal to send over
you're
to
saying
the
we don't.
gatekeepers.
By the way, for those of you that wonder about the whole guest scheduling thing, I've only had two people in the year come back with a question about a fee of some type or an appearance fee. So,
Yeah.
of the 40, and none of them are the ones that we actually had on because we don't pay a
Mm,
fee.
mm,
Um, so when you think about some of the bigger names we've had, never a mention about money, and more often than not, they're promoting something, so it kind of makes sense. I guess they're getting paid one way or another, right?
mm.
But and what I have found is it's the reality TV stars are the ones that
Oh.
need appearance fees, which I guess
Well,
makes sense, right? Their source of
yeah,
income
yeah,
is maybe more limited, both from a overall standpoint, but also kind of the trying to capitalize on the the 30-second of fame thing,
yeah.
right?
That makes sense. That makes sense for yeah, a reality star.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so
That just that
George.
phrase. Anyway,
Actually,
um,
okay, who else? George. We'll get Uncle George.
um,
We'll write a proposal.
who else? I don't. Oh. This is a reach, crazy reach. Bowen,
Oh wow,
Bowen. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's a
yeah. That
reach.
that I mean, that would be fantastic. But
Yeah,
how do we make
I
that
think
happen?
so. Yeah,
He's got his
yeah,
own podcast too. Boy,
yeah.
like we met him, or I met him
Oh yeah,
briefly
right,
during the wedding banquet run, um, and couldn't be a nicer guy in
right.
person. Like
Mm,
like
mm,
I re- I don't know if I told the story on the podcast before, but I went
mm.
to the premiere. It was at the Grove in
Okay.
um, LA, so
Mm-hmm.
it was at like just the movie theater, which
Right, right.
I guess sadly maybe reflects how much the studio thought of the film, and so they just had it at a regular theater. Um,
Mm,
but I remember coming down the right side aisle after the film credits
mm,
rolled, and then kind of going down the middle row to go to the exit, and Bowen and I just kind of ran into each other at the same
mm,
moment,
mm.
because he was coming down, I guess, the left side. I didn't plan this, by the way. um,
Okay.
and he I said hello, like, and I don't know if I said hello in a
Yeah.
fashion that was like, the way someone would say hi that they knew you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe I did, because he just like reached out and gave me a hug, and it's like, oh, cool. you know and then later on at the after party, talked to him briefly. So
Mm-hmm.
like I said, seems to be the nicest guy, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but he's got to have some stuff going on in terms of
Yeah, I mean,
projects lining up
he's
right now.
like, yeah, it must be crazy for him right now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the I would never say never, right? Because the outside of this, and we've talked about it before with the writing I do for TV and film, my I should say like but like the awards
Oh, wait,
focus
wait. You
name.
said the writing you do for TV and film, but the review writing you do for TV and
Correct,
film.
correct, and the interviews, right? Oh
Yes,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
just for
Yeah, I've not dipped
podcast.
my toe yet into screenwriting, not yet. But um, I think the profile of awards focus has grown over the last year that I've been
Mm,
there too. And so I'm getting more opportunities for junkets and different things like
mm,
that. I'd say we're still, I don't know how they tier or rate, Entertainment Weekly and People, and, at the
mm.
top.
Right.
And, we're somewhere, I'm sure, closer to the bottom. And usually it's the awards PR teams that are focused on
Mm,
us. But more and more, I'm getting invites to premieres and different things like that. So you never know. Like, if he gets attached to a project, it kind of like the interviews that we've run for like Rental Family, right?
mm,
Where it's like, if it's part of a junket and they agree, oh sure, you could also play this on your podcast, like something like that could potentially
mm,
happen. Him just sitting
mm.
on our show for 45 minutes, probably the way Ronnie Chang did, probably won't happen. But at least not in the near term. We'll see.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah.
um
Yeah.
the couple people on my list haven't changed from day one, so Tamlin is still on the list.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're building up our catalog. Who I would love to have on, frankly, is anyone, like,
Hmm.
but either Anna Sawai or Hiro, as
Oh,
we move into, is Shogun gonna air this year or in 26, or you think it's not coming till 27?
I'm gonna guess not till 27. Is
Okay,
27's more realistic.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. But Hero's got other projects. I think Mortal
yeah.
Kombat and
I think for Christmas,
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say for Christmas they'll probably put out a teaser for season
Mm,
2.
Okay.
for season 2 coming in 2027, I think is what will happen.
I
But
see.
yeah, because she has Monarch, the season 3 of Monarch,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Is it season 3 or it might even just be 2? I
Oh, I
can't
think it was,
remember.
oh, I don't remember too.
Um, yeah, and
Okay.
then there's I think not just rumors, but I think she's in one of those Beatles films, playing Yoko Ono,
Yeah, she's playing
right?
Yoko Ono.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
and I know I've seen other headlines, so I know she's got a lot going on, but,
Yeah,
hopefully she'll be available to us at some point in time, but that's also a little bit of, pie in the
yeah.
sky, we'll see,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
see.
see, we'll see, we'll see. That one's a little bit
Um,
more like that was a little bit more less pie in the sky versus like Bowen.
yeah, it all comes down to the length of their fame, right? Like,
Yeah. Or
Bowen.
our fame. We just need to
Yes,
get
that's
better
true.
at the
That's true. They're going to be paying us to come on someday, Junko. That's the other piece.
Oh
We're
my
going to be a
god.
key part
Imagine
of
that.
their we're going to be a key part of their promotion. Um well, those are good discussion points. I like that we thought about that. We should ask our audience to send some emails and let us know who they'd like to have on. We I'm trying to think what other Asian events, I think of big films or whatnot as events. This
Mm.
year we had not real big ones, right? We had Rental Family, Rosemead. Um, was there a show that was
Uh,
largely Asian? We had,
well, I
unfortunately,
mean,
DDK's show didn't really take off. Like, so there wasn't,
Butterfly
yeah,
Project or Butterfly Effect? Project. Butterfly
Butterfly.
Project?
Let's call it
Yeah.
that. um, but there wasn't like a beef or
Yeah.
Crazy Rich
Like
Asians
last
type of
season.
moment. What's coming in 26? I'm not top of my head. I can't
Oh,
think of anything because we hear about Crazy Rich Asians being in like the mode of production, but it still could be a while, right? The
I
TV
know,
series.
right, right. I know Crazy Rich Asians, the musical
Mm,
is like has been doing some development workshops and stuff.
mm.
So see how that goes. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, is there
Mm.
a big Asian casted show? Huh,
And which
not
one?
really. I'm trying to think if there's a big Asian like television show coming up. And
Mm,
I can't really think
right.
of one until frankly until Shogun. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
well, have you been spending the last couple weeks or since we last recorded?
Since we last recorded, yes. I was like, when did we last record?
Yeah,
Last week? Week and a half ago?
yeah. You've
Okay.
been have you seen anything? Have you
Uh
been to seen any
oh,
of the films?
I did see Kill Bill, the
Oh,
whole
you went
damn
to the whole.
affair.
Okay, so I don't know
Yep.
what that is.
Went to the
Is
Oh,
that just they played all of them in one
yeah.
stretch, or was there new content?
Actually there was both. So they did put everything together with an intermission. And there was some added content. The anime that was in there,
Mm,
I feel like I'm like I feel like um within this version itself, I feel like they added more scenes.
okay.
And then they added like I don't know, felt like 20 minutes, but a
Mm,
good 10, 15 minutes of anime that we did not see for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
there, yeah, there's that. Am I thinking of?
Nothing like a little PR that Quentin Tarantino needed before that got released to just throw a
Nah,
bunch of
yeah.
actors under the bus. Huh?
They do have an animated, um, was it Final Chapter Part 2
Oh,
at
okay.
the very
Okay.
end.
Okay.
That is more like an American animation style versus
Huh.
IG production anime. So yeah.
And I
So
think
yeah, it was
I
a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
I can't remember if it was your photos or someone else's, but did they have like props or something in for display at
Oh,
the
and I
theater?
guess that was probably my photos. Yeah, so I went to the
Okay.
Vista Theater that's owned by Quentin,
Yeah.
and that was actually my first time there since it's been under his ownership.
Mm,
Um, what the heck did I see there before? Anyway, but
mm,
they've pretty much like restored or haven't touched anything of the original. So, like, if you go into the vicinity, there are these creepy busts of of the same women. Like, I think there's 8 of them altogether, and they're, like, lit up a little bit, like, in a creepy way.
Hmm.
I'm sure there's a whole history behind it, but, um and yes, classic theater. There is Pam's Coffee Shop, which is, like, also Quentin's coffee shop next
Hmm.
door, um, and it's pretty cute inside as well, so, yeah, yeah, Pillow, what else did I see? That one, yeah, I think that's about it.
Hmm.
I think no, I already told you I saw Wicked Part 2. I
Yeah,
think
not
that's the
good.
only well,
Yeah.
yeah. I think Kill Bill was the only movie, yeah, I've been kinda just holding out for any of, like, the nominated movies,
Yeah.
so I
Here,
can
here,
see them for free.
the other dog's making an
Yep.
appearance now. This is
Hi.
the one that stole all the chocolate.
Oh, he's a chocolate eater, so if just
If
FYI, this guy,
yeah,
the second one, literally likes chocolate, so
loves
he
it.
has a
Yes.
death wish. Got into chocolate. Ben was a little bit panicky last night.
Yep.
Doug threw up multiple times, but
Yep. Look at him.
he
He's
seems okay.
yeah, he looks guilty though, right? This Linus. Um
Linus, okay, he looks like a little
yeah.
Ewok for
I
those listening.
I've seen a lot of stuff. You know, I saw
Oh,
a couple comedy
you've been
shows.
you've been watching a lot.
Yeah, I saw a couple of comedy shows this past weekend. So Ronnie Chang versus Hassan Minaj,
Mm,
which is just hilarious. So if they're touring in your city, go see them. It's the typical style that Ronnie has, kind of that angry
mhm,
Malaysian,
mhm,
angry Asian. But him and Hassan have always had this fun rivalry that you'll see it only in little bits on like the Daily Show or whatnot. So I don't think it's like
mm,
widely known, but it becomes basically like who's better, Asians or Indians? And it is hilarious. And if you're Asian or Indian, or even better, if you're an Asian and Indian couple, like the couple sitting next to me, it's
mm,
like it is great. It is a great
nice.
show. And then Ali Wong was
Mm,
doing a um, let's call it her, practice show.
yeah, like a
At
developmental, yeah.
yeah, she's from San Francisco, so she
Mm,
basically just did one night of shows at the Punchline, which is our smaller version of the Comedy
mm,
Store, like a
mm,
small classic club. And I felt very privileged to get tickets to that. And she's the best. She's always the
nice.
best. I saw Avatar,
Ah,
Fire and
Fire and
Ash.
Ash. I was like, Fire and
Yes,
Ice. I'm like, no, that's
yeah.
Lord of the Rings. No.
And I went
Oh, that's Game of
to
Thrones.
yeah, yeah. I went to a screening for that. The
Mhm.
lady who, they told me like grab a pair of glasses.
Mm.
Not, I was not aware there's two types of 3D glasses apparently. So I basically watched the
Oh.
film with the wrong glasses, and I was like, this doesn't look
Mm.
very 3D ish. It still was okay. It wasn't like the weird blurry,
Mhm.
maybe just at moments, but I maybe missed the intended effect. But
Yep.
it was okay. I mean, it's if you I don't know, does anybody love Avatar? Junko, do you know anybody that comes to you and says, I love
Not
Avatar?
not around
Besides
me,
besides
but
Airbender. Yeah.
right. I think maybe if I was around people who are like computer graphic artists and
Yeah,
VFX artists, because water is really, really hard to handle.
sure. Yeah.
So I do understand that. Um, but only conceptually, you know? I think the
Yeah.
people who actually do have a bigger appreciation of
Yeah.
the
I think
works of their
that's
colleagues.
I think that's it. Like from a technical achievement standpoint, it's
Yeah.
always amazing. And I think the way I feel about Avatar, because I felt this way the second movie too, is I don't regret ever watching an Avatar movie because the quality is so good and it's compelling enough,
Yeah.
and the action is good. James Cameron signature good stuff, and it looks amazing. But
It's a good background movie now. Like, I literally
Yeah.
had it on for 6 hours the other day because it was on FX or whatever,
Oh,
and I
okay.
think my dogs were not appreciating it.
Yeah.
Actually, I had to follow that up. For the hour or so I was, like, getting ready for bed, I turned on Charlie Brown on Apple TV, and I just let it go. I
There you
walk
go.
in, it's the languages, it's a Korean, so the dogs have been listening to Charlie Brown in Korean for an hour.
Hey, maybe they learned something.
Maybe they learned something, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I realize we're running a little long in this recording, so why don't we continue on other things to watch at the end of the year on our
Yes.
next episode? But it's been a pleasure doing this with you this year. So I
Yeah,
appreciate the
it's yeah,
partnership and the friendship, and appreciate all of our
it's
guests,
been fun.
including and really appreciate all of our guests, including Rachel Michiko Whitney, who we're going to listen to
Yes.
here.
And we are back with Rachel Michiko Whitney. We are here to talk about your latest short, Yonsei, and many other things. Yeah. So I'm like, where do we even start? So, actually, maybe talk about your journey with Yonsei. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always hard. I think in a way it kind of started in 2016, 2017. I enrolled in a UCLA professional screenwriting program.
Mhm.
And part of the reason is I wanted to learn how to write. I felt like there weren't a lot of Japanese American stories told by Japanese Americans. So I was a little bit ambitious and I started with a love story set in a Japanese American internment camp during World War II.
Mm.
Which was pretty challenging because it's just a very different time period, and I mean, I read so many books, I did so much research, I talked to my grandma about it, so it was a fictionalized version of my grandparents' story, so they actually did meet and fall in love during World War II when they were
Mhm.
sent to the same Japanese American internment camp in Roar, Arkansas.
What?
So, I think in a way, I did that because I it was like a way of protecting their privacy. I wanted to tell that story, but maybe fictionalize it so that it wasn't.
Fictional.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this was a screenwriting class within film school overall. So was this a film school project initially?
Yes. So at
Okay.
UCLA, they have this year-long screenwriting program. It's kind of like a more condensed version of their MFA program.
Mhm.
And so we wrote 2 screenplays. That was one of them. I I submitted it to the Nichols Fellowship, and it
Mm.
made it to the quarterfinalist round and then
Oof.
didn't really do anything with it after that, and then
Mm.
I decided I'm gonna write the next generation Japanese American story, also fictionalize it, but have it based on my mom's story,
Mm,
who was a Japanese American actress in Hollywood
sure.
in the '80s, and as I later found out, her grandparents I mean, my grandparents, her parents, never talked about their camp experience.
Mhm.
Mm.
So I thought there was something really interesting about that, and in a way, my grandparents sort of had to hide to survive, and maybe that's why they didn't understand why their daughter wanted to be so widely seen, and that's why they didn't approve of what she wanted to do.
Mhm.
So I wrote that screenplay as well, and I met my co-director, Jeff Mizushima, at the end of 2022. We were working on another short film project together called Wabi Sabi,
Mhm.
which we will be releasing next year. That's a short comedy about a white guy who takes me on a date to a Japanese tea ceremony, and he knows more about Japanese culture than I do.
Mm.
So Jeff and I,
Oh, I was like, wait, that's screened at the in downtown LA earlier this year, right?
it screened. Did it screen downtown? It screened in Gardena a couple of times.
Gardena, yeah. Was
I
it part of
don't.
a short? And is Tituco in it?
Yes,
Oh, I
yes.
did see it. No, no, I
Oh
think
no way.
I didn't say hi to you, but yeah, we shared the same air because you were up on stage. So it's part of like the downtown. I forgot what their name is, but they put on a monthly shorts festival, and your Wabi Sabi was part of it. So you were up on stage. It's one of those like obscure. It looks like a high rise, and they have a screening room downstairs.
Oh my
Anyway,
gosh, I should know this. So we've done a bunch of screenings in LA, a couple in Gardena, the
yeah.
Japan Film Festival.
Yeah. But
Uh,
anyway, so I was like, "Oh, no, I have seen that one." So we have
yeah.
kind of I
Yeah.
was
See,
like I was
before we
15
got
feet away from
on,
you.
I told you you two would discover a lot about each other that I bet you have in common. But actually, let's
Yeah.
zoom out a bit, Rachel, because we jumped right into Yonsei. I want to make sure we give because probably no one who's listening because it's not freely available would have seen Yonsei. Do you want to just give like a
Yeah.
quick log line on the project and the film itself?
Yes. So I can read what our logline is, or I can just sort of give a brief description.
Well,
But
you're in the elevator. What's your elevator pitch? That's always gonna
so
be
I say that it's a 3 generation Japanese American story that looks at what happens when older generations don't talk about their trauma as a way to not pass it on to future generations. And so it starts with my grandparents meeting and falling in love during World War II when they were sent to the same Japanese American internment camp, and then moves on to my mom's time working as Japanese American actress in 1980s Hollywood. And it's a more creative hybrid approach, I would say, um, than what other documentaries take into the or I know that there are documentaries about the internment camps,
Sure.
but they're a little bit more educational. And so with this project, we wanted to make it a little bit more fun and creative, because I also think that sometimes when you make something a little bit more lighthearted, and we talk about my mom's time working as a Japanese American actress in the 80s, and then you explore something a little bit darker and more traumatic, it hits a little bit harder. So,
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting the way you described it, right? Because I guess if I made myself describe your film, I might say something, oh, this is a meta autobiographical story about Rachel Michiko Whitney wanting to follow the footsteps of her mother into the acting world and learning how difficult it is for Japanese Americans or Asian Americans, right? Like there's so many different themes going on. So I'm very curious as you said you wrote a screenplay,
mhm.
how much of that changed along the way because as you started to interview people and your own family, right, including your grandmother, and learned a little bit more, or in some cases learned a little bit more about how much they didn't want to talk about things, right? Because to your point, you could have started in with a ton of detail on Arkansas internment camp, but you don't go that direction.
Yeah, well, the 2 screenplays that I wrote, I mean, those I think the idea of using that concept in this documentary, where so the concept is, yeah, I'm gonna interview my family because 'cause I'm writing a screenplay based on my mom's life. That part is true, but then nothing from the screenplays that I had written we actually incorporated.
Mm,
And so all of the stuff that I learned in the documentary, I already knew. And so I guess that's the scripted component of
mm,
it.
mm,
But I will say, like, I did still learn a lot, even though I knew my grandma's story at this point. I would say I learned more about my aunt who passed away before
mm,
I was
mhm.
born. And I think once I started asking them questions, they would talk about it, but it wasn't like this information was ever talked about when I was growing up.
Mm.
And
Uh,
yeah,
and a very quick question for you, which I think we learned the answer just before we went on air, but your grandmother's still with us?
she is.
Mhm.
Yes. So in the documentary, she turns 100. She's
Hmm.
101 now. She turned 100
Mm,
Mm.
in August. And
Very young, very young.
yes, she is still with it. She doesn't have much of a short-term memory. Like,
mm,
I actually did screen the documentary for her a year ago, or earlier this year in January, and she loved it. And I think it's nice for her to be able to see all this footage from when
sure.
she and my grandfather
Yeah.
were together. But
Mm.
then in May, because we premiered at the LA Asian Pacific Film Festival in May
Yes, it
this
was
year.
Melfest. Yeah, yeah, that I
Oh,
saw that too. Well,
okay, okay,
I wasn't yeah, I've been with them since 2008, so I didn't get to screening,
okay,
but that's also one of
okay.
my film festival fans.
Yeah, so my grandma was able to come for that. George Takei was able to come. My mom
Mm.
came,
Oh, really?
and I I told my grandma that we were screening it, and I said, "Remember you watched it and you loved it?" And she was like, "When did I say that? I don't remember that." So then she watched it again and she loved it again. So it's yeah.
She's
Nice.
very she's very sweet in the film, and I could see exactly what you're talking about. She still has a little sass to her too, which is
Yes.
fantastic.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
and she is a huge basketball fan.
Still.
Mm,
Yeah.
And I think that's where we all get it from in
Okay.
the family. Like, she loves
mm,
Steph Curry.
Mhm.
mm.
The Warriors fan, she loves Steph Curry. And, um, yeah, I mean, I'm a huge basketball fan. My mom's a huge basketball fan. It just
Amazing.
yeah.
That's so interesting, yeah,
Amazing.
because basketball is I think for especially Southern California, basketball is seen as very specifically JA. Like, I grew up in a slightly different Japanese community, more Japanese than American outside of Chicago. So
Okay.
that's still new. The concept of like basketball tying the generations together is still like I can understand like kendo and like karate and all that. Um, but basketball being so uniquely American and baseball too. Those were the two big ones during internment, but it's really been interesting how basketball connects intergenerationally, and especially
Sure.
in your case, it's because we know all the famous male basketball players. I forget the name of the first JA basketball player, but in your guys' case, it's all females, and we don't really see that conversation of like generational women really loving basketball. That's a little bit new.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what it's about. I can't play basketball that well. I just love watching it, and
Yeah.
I think sports
Well,
in general are just
well, part of it is you went to Duke, right?
yes.
And
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
it's basketball country. LA is basketball country. The Lakers have
But even
always been good, right?
backing up,
There's
yeah.
yeah.
Like during high school and middle school, was that like a pretty common conversation? Like you guys were all would be talking basketball during the season kind of thing?
Well, I grew up in New York, so I grew up a big
Yeah.
Knicks fan,
Mm.
and
Oh.
actually we won the NBA Cup last night, which is very exciting for us because we have not
Oh,
won a win
yeah, yeah.
since, like, the
Yeah.
70s. Or I mean, I know that the NBA Cup is a new thing and people kind of poo-poo it or
It's
whatever.
that whatever mid-season tournament thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
I'd be happy to take your grandma to a game. I'm a big Steph Curry. I'm a Warriors fan. I live up in the Bay Area, so that's where I am right
Oh,
now. So
amazing.
I'm so excited that she's not a LeBron James Lakers fan because I would have expected your family to all be Lakers fans.
I Yeah, well, so before the war, my grandma grew up in Boyle Heights.
Okay.
And then after the war, so my grandfather, it was kind of like farm boy, city girl meeting in Roar, Arkansas, because my grandma
Mm,
grew up in LA. My grandfather grew up um, in Stockton, California,
Mhm,
mhm,
that
mhm,
area.
mhm.
So they both just happened to be sent to Roar, Arkansas, and that's where they met and fell in love. And after the war, my grandmother didn't want to go up north because she didn't want to live on a farm
mm,
and she wanted to come back to LA, but he had to go back up because, they got very lucky. They had neighbors that watched their land
Uh,
when they left.
mm,
So they were able to
mm.
nice. Yeah.
go back to their land after the war. And so, my grandfather had to go back and work, and so my grandma eventually did move back up north, and that's where she lives today, Lodi, California.
Mm.
Mhm.
So that's also why she's a Warriors fan, because she
Awesome.
ended up
Uh,
going to Northern California.
That's awesome.
so
Uh,
question for you, when so you grow up mostly in New York. What like how old were you, or like what grade were you when you started focusing more on your Japanese heritage? Because in the short, you just go back for the holidays kind of thing. But when did what was a jumping off point for your more deeper dive into your heritage?
I would say I think it was always there, but I didn't quite know how to articulate it, or I didn't really know what it
Mhm.
was exactly
Mhm.
until college. But I was a tennis player in high school, and my freshman year, I made the varsity team, and I so wanted to be liked and included in this group of uh, girl tennis players that I volunteered my mom to
Oh.
to make a Japanese banquet dinner for the entire
Oh.
team. My poor mother then went out, she accepted it. She wasn't upset with me or anything. She went out to the Japanese market and got all this food, and it ended up becoming a year tradition that we did every fall for the varsity girls tennis team. My
Yeah.
mom would make a huge cook a huge
Oh.
Japanese meal for everyone.
Mhm.
And, there weren't other, there was one other Japanese woman from Japan who played tennis. Cause I grew up in a town where there were some Japanese families that would come
Mm.
and their dads did business here. And
Yes.
so
Yeah, yeah.
they would go to
Mhm.
school with us for a few years and then go back to
Yep.
Japan. So actually was a girl my sophomore year, tennis player. So her mom helped my mom that year.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I think maybe that was a way that
Mm.
I sort of connected to my Japanese roots or thought
Yeah.
about, being of Japanese ancestry. Cause
Yeah. So food.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, and I guess a related question. I mean, growing up or maybe before that, in a largely white area, were you ever embarrassed of your Asian side or Japanese side of you? Did you ever try to hide it? Or was it always just something that you have always been proud of and always embraced?
That's a good question. I don't know if I was ever necessarily embarrassed by it. Maybe my mom would make food and put them in those little bento boxes.
Uh-huh.
I think maybe I was a little embarrassed by that because I just wanted to eat Lunchables like what everyone else was
Mm.
eating. So maybe a little bit like those types of things. Um, but I also felt pretty distant from it. Like I was in Japanese school and I was such a bad student because I didn't know, my mom doesn't speak Japanese. Again,
Right.
I think about, did my grandparents stop speaking Japanese after the war because they were ashamed or embarrassed? Because my great grandparents only spoke Japanese. So my
Mhm.
grandparents had to know Japanese to speak to them. And then they didn't have any of their kids learn Japanese. So, but
Yeah.
then my mom did put me in Japanese school, but then I just didn't have anyone to practice with.
Yeah. I
And
think it's
Right.
so,
that trauma too. You might have come across June Aoki Burke. She was an Nisei queen in the 60s, I think. But, she's a Nisei or Sansei, but again, she at her age now, she'll just look back and say, "Yeah, my parents were so wanted to make sure that us kids were not bullied because we spoke Japanese." So she's very, very, conscious
yeah.
of that being really quashed. But I think that's a reflection of your mom, later finding out, "Oh, that's why I didn't learn it." And so that's something that, she wanted you to at least have. And, at
Yeah.
least when you have the language in your head when you're younger, it does stay with you. And I'm sure when you went to Japan and stuff, maybe some things came back.
But these are deliberate choices, right? I don't
Hmm.
like I've never asked my dad directly, but my dad clearly um went down the I'm, second generation. I think he clearly went down the assimilation path and was like, yeah, no, we're not going to make our kids go to Chinese school. We're not going to make them play piano or assimilate, right? Like be
Yeah.
as American as you can be. And that's the path to whether it's success
Yeah.
or being accepted, whatever. Um, I think oftentimes those were deliberate choices
Yeah.
and never
And
spoken of, right?
yeah, and on the flip side, although Ben and I think we're like like a decade apart. I forgot, but like generation were a little bit different. So my parents, my mom, was specifically like, no, we're gonna make sure she speaks Japanese. So it was
Yeah.
completely. So I see, and also my family was never interned. We immigrated much later in the
I,
70s,
I was gonna
so it's
ask,
completely different.
are you Nisei?
I'm technically Nisei. I think we're starting to call ourselves Shinisei. We'll
Okay.
see what the academics say.
Mhm.
So it's a completely different um kind of heritage lineage of how things turned out in certain ways. Some parents are like
Yeah.
assimilation is important. Some parents are like education. you
Mhm.
know. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
understanding those circumstances and contexts is so important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to come back to you as an actress, and assuming that is still, besides like making films, but being an actor is also an aspiration of yours still.
Yes.
Um, w- I did think a lot of where your film was going was trying to unpack the era that your mom was acting in and how that contrasts to today. And I'm just curious, like, how much you think things have actually changed and what it's been like for you to try to audition for acting roles and make a career out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely changed a lot from the 80s because in the 80s, one, I mean, my mom was playing a Chinese gangster on MacGyver, a Vietnamese
Hmm.
Mm,
prostitute on TJ Hooker, a Japanese singer, and also a Vietnamese peasant. Like it was just like all Asians were the same to
Yep.
people casting during that time. So I definitely think we've progressed from that.
Sure.
Um, but I think there's still so much room to grow, and I think telling more stories about Asian Americans prior to today is important too, and that was part of the reason, um, why we did the doc is to show, okay, what was the landscape like for Asian American actors in the '80s, and to really celebrate the wins that they had. Even though it's not like they were really famous or anything like that, they still, you know, did as as we say in the documentary, like, make, cracks in the Asian glass ceiling. Like, for example, my
Hmm.
mom being cast in that music video that was the
Hmm.
#1 music video on MTV in
mm,
1984. I think she was
mm,
probably the only Asian American love interest in a music video during that time.
mm.
Hmm.
So even
Hmm.
Yeah.
something like that is, like, something to celebrate, and now I think there are way more stories told about the Asian American experience by Asian Americans.
Yeah.
I think I would like to get back into auditioning more. I haven't been doing a lot of auditioning recently, but when I was, it's also different for me because I'm mixed.
You're
So
mixed. Yeah.
I remember one time I went in to audition for something and they were casting an Asian American woman and a Caucasian woman. And I went in and they were sort of looking at me, one,
Yeah.
which one is she going to audition for? And so that's a whole other
Yeah.
experience too, because
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, you're not Asian enough to fit in with this Asian family, but you're also not white enough to be in this white family." So,
Have you started tweaking, like, your makeup and stuff a little bit? Because depending on the age I'm going in for, I'll do little tweaks.
I think, I haven't. I probably should. I should probably learn how to do all
Something
that stuff.
explore, something,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And actually, speaking of that, like, when you were auditioning more, I mean, granted, the industry has sucked for the last 2 years, so that's out there. But does, like, your mom help you with your auditions? Or
No, well, she has helped me with a few self-tapes, and so she's very sweet about it, but we don't have, like, conversations about
Hmm,
Yeah,
yeah.
actually, this
work.
is actually an interesting area of conversation or questioning um, her journey as an actress at the end of the day. Because you actually have this comment about um, cold tofu. Is it
Mhm,
called cold
mhm,
tofu?
go
The
Tiffany,
group
yep.
and some of the actors that you interviewed during your film, and they're not bitter. They're not like, oh, we were treated
Mm.
horribly, and everyone's racist, etc. Like, at the end of the day, was your mom happy with her career and still encouraging to you, or was she like, no, you go study mechanical engineering, fine. If you want to act on the side, great, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's the right thing.
And contextually, she moved to New York when she was pregnant, before she
No,
was.
so she actually moved to New York because she started doing off-Broadway shows. So
Hmm.
I don't know
Ah,
which
okay, okay.
show it was exactly that brought her to New York, but
Okay.
she
Mm,
she continued working in New
She's still
York.
acting. Yeah.
Yeah, she was still acting. She did, like,
mm,
Godspell, and I don't know what other shows, but she never made it to
yeah.
Broadway, but she would do off-Broadway productions, and she's a singer, so she was doing
Hmm.
a lot of musicals. And so, yeah, that's what brought her to New York, and then she met my dad, and
Mm.
they stayed in
Ah.
New York.
Hmm.
And I would say my mom was I mean, I grew up just I'm pretty shy, and I was very shy in school, but I always wanted to, like, perform,
Hmm.
Mm,
and I would always put on skits, like, during lunch period for
Hmm.
my classmates, and I was always, like, putting films together, making films, so, I don't know, it's this interesting thing of, like, being really shy and quiet, but also always wanting to, like, express myself creatively, I guess,
Hmm.
and my mom was always very supportive, but she said I had to go to college,
mm,
and that's also ultimately why I ended up going to engineering school is because I think by the time I was a junior applying to colleges,
mhm.
people told me, if you wanna get into a good school and you wanna have a good chance of getting a good job when you graduate, you should apply to engineering school. Because I did like math and science, and
Hmm.
I still
That's
do.
good.
I never wanted to be an engineer, but I listened to what people told me, and
Mhm.
I have no regrets, but it was really hard. And
Yeah, yeah. I was a biochemistry major,
okay,
so
yeah.
that's why I was like,
It's
but well, like I there was something I fundamentally loved about biochemistry. Was there something you fundamentally loved about mechanical engineering? Because I've been able to marry the two, like where I am now and that love for that science.
yeah, I think mechanical engineering was probably the most broad, and I do think that there's actually a pretty creative component to it. Like, we were designing McDonald's Happy Meal toys,
Mm.
in what was the program called? But, like,
Yeah.
we were using the
Okay, all
3D
good.
printer to
Sure.
Oh,
to
that's
print, like,
right.
Happy Meal toys,
Yeah. Wait,
and we
actually,
were
just to back up, I'm a dum dum. And I
yeah.
also went to a small liberal arts college, so we didn't have mechanical engineers. What is mechanical engineering exactly? Because I'm thinking like trucks and machines, but you're talking toys. So I'm a dum dum. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, I since I never actually went into the profession, I don't know how good of a job I will do it at explaining this, but my friends that were mechanical engineers work at, like, Boeing, and,
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of them actually go into consulting and investment banking, which is not engineering, but I think that engineering kinda teaches you, um, to think outside the box, to think
Mm-hmm.
creatively. It's problem solving.
Hmm.
I mean, the classes that I took were like fluid dynamics and
Mm-hmm.
like the design of airports. I can't remember what that class was called, but that was kind of
Yeah.
interesting to like look
Oh,
Hmm.
at
that's
the
interesting.
Atlanta airport and see how design flow or something like
Right, right. That's
um
creative.
yeah, and actually I interned at ABC Studios one summer and I did
Ooh,
visit the Imagineers because they were mechanical
yes.
engineers. They're like
Yeah, yeah,
building the
yeah.
rides and everything, and so that's also mechanical engineering, but at the end of the day,
Yes.
just engineering still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was I worked for the Imagineers on Mr. Potato Head in
Oh, no
Tokyo
way.
Disney Sea. It was so fun. I was actually across the street from that building the other day, but like literally this is like 15, 18 years ago. So I would be working on Mr. Potato Head and then like down the hallway you could poke your head and there was like Ursula down the hallway, like
Yeah.
hanging
Wait,
out.
sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I know Imagineers are Disney, like engineers. So when you say you're working on Mr. Potato Head, what are you talking about, Junko?
Yeah, so the Imagineers, how they work is that there's only one location in the world where all the theme park stuff, any animatronics is developed, tested, built is in Glendale, California, and that's where
Uh-huh.
the Imagineers are. So
Yeah.
pretty much anything you see in the parks or the cruises, anything animatronic, anything that moves or entertains, I believe. Anything that needs to be engineered is all done in Glendale,
So the
California.
so the
Yes.
so the Toy Story ride in or California Adventures where there's a Mr. Potato Head talking to the crowd,
Mhm.
that was your job, like working on that.
So the different version, the version specifically for Tokyo Disney Sea
Okay.
was designed to actually interact and play games in
Okay.
Japanese. So I was brought on as the consultant and I would get families together to test the thing.
Okay. Okay. I
Yes.
get it now.
Really cool.
Yeah. So that's the
uh,
context. That's what
well,
Imagineers do.
yeah. I mean, Rachel, is there like a segue to like set design, production design because you've done some smaller films where probably there wasn't a lot of production design element required yet, but as someone who's more than an actor who wants to also write and possibly direct, could you see some of the skill set
Yeah,
translate?
or make cool Marvel weapons.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I think that just having a basic understanding of what everyone is doing is always really helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see myself being a professional screenwriter, but I think even just like taking the screenwriting course where I understand story structure, I think is really helpful as a producer and an actor and director. And with set design, I don't think and production design, I don't think I would ever be skilled enough to do it, but
Mhm.
maybe yeah, just like understanding putting things together and SolidWorks is what I was trying to think of before. That's like where you design things in
Ah.
3D
Mm.
in
Mhm.
SolidWorks. So like I would design a tennis racket in SolidWorks and then apply pressure to it in that program. So I don't
Ah,
know,
got it.
maybe just understanding stuff like that could be helpful in some
Mhm.
way.
Um, do you have, besides your family, besides your mom and grandma, do you have, like, who inspires you as a filmmaker or an actor? Like, are there people that you look up to that you try to even emulate?
I mean, I really admire what Margot Robbie is doing. I
Mm,
think not just as an actor, but also, with her production company.
mhm,
And I love that she's making one of my favorite films from last year was a film called My Old Ass that she
Mhm,
produced.
mm,
mhm,
She didn't act
mhm.
in it,
Yep.
but she produced it. And I love that she does that too. And it's oftentimes women filmmakers. And I think she's just really smart when it comes to um, storytelling and championing women's voices. So I really look up to her. Um, I love Jessica Chastain and
mm.
Elle Fanning. I love the work that they do as well.
Elle
And
Fanning is everywhere right now. In everything right now, it feels
yes,
like, yeah.
yes, yeah. And I actually so I just saw Rental Family, which
Mm,
Ah,
I
yes.
loved.
yeah,
So I'm very excited about that director, Hikari. I had seen her first
Yep.
Mikari, yeah.
or I saw an early Japanese film called like 37 Seconds.
37 seconds. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
37 seconds, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. And would love to be doing more in the like US Japan crossover
Mm.
Yeah.
space. Like I love that really looked at two different cultures
Well,
and I
yeah, and how we work. So I was on Sunny, which is an
oh
A24
yeah,
production. I
yes,
was
I
an
watched
on-set
that as well. Yeah.
interpreter. Uh, I'm like, US Japan co-productions are really interesting. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. We'll talk
So you
online about this.
yeah, but
Offline about
I
this.
Yeah.
guess but one of the I guess generally the biggest difference is that US folks are going to be union and work under union structure, and in Japan that does not exist. So
Oh,
that is a
interesting.
there's a very, very big difference
Okay.
coming
Hmm.
on set. But yes, we can talk offline.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Interesting.
going back to Rental Family, I mean, yes, please make more films like those, right? I think your story, I think about this all the time. Like, the internment camps for Japanese were some of the worst things that have ever happened in our country, and I've yet to feel like I've seen a really good film about it. And I know Tamlin, who's my crush,
Yeah.
Yeah.
was in one many, many years ago, but there hasn't been
Mhm.
one in a long time. I just think there are so many stories to be told,
Well,
whether they're
yeah. And are you talking about Come See the Paradise? That
yes,
one? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
that when I was doing research for my screenplay, and I really did enjoy it, and I appreciated that it had her storyline as well. But then, of
Yeah.
course, it's really Dennis Quaid's story,
Yeah.
written
Yes.
and
Yeah,
directed
yeah,
by a white guy. So, but again,
Yeah.
like I think
yeah.
it's great that it was made, and I hope
Right.
that there can be stories where the main character is Japanese American.
Yeah, which is,
100%.
I
Like,
guess, the terror, which is, set in internment camp, but with ghosts. So that was a little bit more playing with the
Yeah.
genre instead of
yeah.
kind of
And
retelling family stories and
well,
documentary.
I just kind of think of it this way, right? Like every year there are multiple films about the Holocaust. They're usually like every 2 years, one of them's nominated for Best Picture,
Mhm.
right? And we don't get anywhere near the level of interest in telling the story of the Japanese Americans in World War II. And I just think there's plenty of room for that. And then with Rental Family, like to your point, there's also just a lot of interest in Japanese culture right now. So I think it's a good
Yeah.
time to like make these type of films.
Yeah, I think when my co-director and I were talking about Yonsei and the way that we wanted to tell it, we wanted to make it, for lack of a better term, more commercial so that it would
Mhm.
reach a
Mm,
wider audience. Because I
yeah.
love, like, when we screened in Little Tokyo, it felt like a
Mm,
friends and family screening, and
Yeah.
it was so wonderful to screen
mhm,
in front of a big Japanese American audience. And at the same time, it's also really great to be able to screen in front of people that don't really know about the camps or know very little about the
Hmm.
camps. Like, we screened at the Newport Beach Film Festival,
Mm,
mm,
and people were like, "Oh, I learned a lot. I didn't they don't know about the camps, or, like, they don't realize, oh, these were American citizens that were sent
mm,
away."
yeah.
And, I it's always tricky because it depends on, like, where you grew up and what your education was and everything, but, yeah, I think there are still some people that don't know about the camps,
yeah.
my grandma was 19, 17, 19 when she was in camp, so that
Hmm. Yep.
generation that still remembers that camp experience, they're dying now, and so
Mhm,
if they don't tell their stories, then their stories
Yeah.
will also die with them,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Now
and
we should
going
tell our
back to,
listeners,
oh yeah,
and we should
oh,
just
go
tell
for it,
our
Ben.
listeners that George Takei is in the film,
yes,
did meet your grandmother. He was younger than your grandmother at the time of the
yes,
camp. So it's just there's besides like this nice intimate portrait of your family, there there's also one of the most famous, Japanese American actors makes an appearance in your film. So that had to be a lot of fun.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Junko, go
Uncle
ahead. You had a
George.
question. Yep.
Yeah. Going back to actually the conversation you had with your co-director, because you don't say like, to be honest, you could totally have a part one, and then the part two will be when you're off to Japan. And I could totally tell part two is like super like social media snappy.
Mhm,
Right. So
mhm.
I totally understand that. But when was the choice made of putting it together? Unless you're like, oh, we could make a completely, you could make another 75-minute separate documentary on your trip to Japan. So let's do that later.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was maybe the hardest part, was figuring out
Yeah.
the length of it, and then, yeah,
Yeah.
with go because I went to Japan for the first time in
Yeah.
Yeah.
2024, and
Ah.
then it's like, "Oh, this could be, like, a whole other thing," but then
Yeah.
where like, that was honestly probably the hardest part of of making this documentary because when you make a short doc, you have so much creative freedom, but at times it's
Yeah.
hard to like
So much
know
material.
what to. Yeah, exactly. Like this could go in so many different directions, and so maybe we will have the opportunity to do that part two, an expanded part two. I think this
It's
was
sitting on
really.
that hard drive.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I have it in my closet here. um, but yeah, because there was. I think we kind of what I realized when I went to Japan and I met family and I'm seeing our
Mm.
family tree that dates back to the 1100s, and I just see, how good of a job it makes you realize how young America is too.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
Yeah.
and yeah, like what okay, where can we take this? But it made me realize like, oh, I've never even thought about this. I've never even thought about the
Mm.
fact that I am descendants of like a samurai family.
Samurai. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, like I don't even know how to process that right now. So let's just like
Mm.
include it for now because I don't know, that's like a whole other journey.
Yeah, it does feel like it could be a whole nother story. I actually think that clip, I don't know if it's at like 3 minutes ish. And to
Yeah.
Junko's point, if you just threw it on YouTube, it's like a nice little travel video, but
Yeah.
it's actually plays great. I love the little part where you meet someone who someone says is related to you, but you're like, this is kind of awkward or it's like, it's
I
great.
I joked that it was I don't know if you guys saw The White Lotus season 2, but I
Oh
joked that
yeah.
it was
Oh,
like my White Lotus season 2 moment because 'cause they're going back to Italy to meet their family
Mm,
that
right.
they've never met, and then that's
right.
what I was doing in Japan. It was like,
Yeah.
"Hi."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're like, "What? We're not related to you." So
Yeah.
anyway, that's actually a very good clip.
Yeah.
But this is our last episode of the year for us, so we figured we'd ask you some questions like, "What's the best thing you've seen this year?" We are always talking about film and television. It doesn't have to be Asian either.
Okay. Movie, TV show?
All
Either
of it.
or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of it.
This I feel like this is an obvious one, but,
Mm.
because I recently saw One Battle After Another, and I love that movie. I love Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
There's
that's
nothing wrong with being obvious on this one because I
I know.
think
Yeah, they're the
I
standouts.
it's really good, and it was the
I haven't seen it
first.
yet.
Oh my god, you have to see it. It's
I
playing
know.
on the IMAX right now. You got to go see it in 70
You know
millimeter.
why?
Go
Because
see it.
I'm waiting for my union email to come in and tell me I have a free screening because I
Oh,
don't want
yeah,
to
I
pay
love
for
those.
it.
I love those.
I'm like, I don't want to pay for it.
I
Although,
I think you
yeah,
missed them
like,
all, Junko. I think you actually missed them
yeah,
all. All the screenings happened for that movie
no,
like
well,
a couple months
I
ago.
just, yeah. And then my schedule wouldn't match up. The only thing I did make sure I saw in IMAX was Sinners because that was shot in IMAX. But I don't think
One Battle After Another shot in
what?
70 millimeter. You have to
Oh,
watch it
that's
on
not sure
IMAX.
something. Oh, I didn't
Yes.
know that.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
All right, Rachel, your
Uh,
favorite television show of the year.
wait, and also I'll just add Rental Family
mm,
too because I love
Okay.
okay.
that
Yes.
show.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite TV show?
It's a hard one
Yeah, a show that I
because
just
you know
I don't know about I'd have to think about favorite. I mean,
because like Severance still counts, right?
Or just what you would
Because
recommend, like one of your favorite recommendations right now.
so and I actually haven't seen the latest season that came out this year, but Slow Horses on Apple TV
Mm,
I really
mm,
love.
that's a good one.
yes.
Um, I also just watched this show called The Chair Company on HBO.
I've heard that's good. I
Huh.
haven't seen it yet.
It is I loved it, but it is definitely pretty quirky humor, or
Sure.
that another show that I love that it kind of reminded me of, where it's like this really uncomfortable, awkward humor, was that show that Emma Stone did with Nathan Fielder and
Oh,
Ben
yeah, yeah.
Safdie, The Curse on
Yes.
Showtime. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Oh.
that kind of humor.
Yeah, I get it. The Chair Company, because there's a film, I think it's called Friends or Friendship with Paul Rudd, where that same actor from The Chair Company's in,
Yes.
and it's that awkward,
Yeah.
uncomfortable
Yeah.
humor. So, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll get answers. Chica, you were going to ask a question.
Uh, no, I forgot.
Do
So
you
All
guys,
right.
wait, do you guys
passed it
have
on.
favorite top film TV shows?
We haven't talked
Oh,
about it
yeah,
amongst
we haven't talked
ourselves.
about it.
I definitely do. I'm probably with you on the film, to be honest, One Battle After Another. As much as I keep trying to talk myself out of it because I hate being the picking the one that everyone else is picking.
Right, yeah.
Um like I just saw No Other Choice
Oh,
with
I
Mm,
want to see that.
with director Park, and I think it's really good. But I still don't think it's as good as One Battle After Another. I think One Battle After
mm,
Another is good from beginning to end.
Hmm.
I think in some strange way, this is unusual, but there's a lot of movies this year where the endings are great, but not the whole films, right?
Um,
Like
mm.
Hamnet to me is a movie like that, where everyone's going to talk about the ending forever,
mhm.
but it was hard
No
to sit through.
spoilers.
Yeah, it was hard to sit through the first hour of that film for me personally. So I think
I
One
gotta
Battle After
catch up.
Another is it. And then Slow Horses, you will love season 5 because it's the Roddy Ho season, who he's just a ridiculous character to begin
Yes,
with. So
yes.
you will love it.
He's my
It was great.
favorite. Oh, I can't
He's
Yes.
wait.
fun, yeah, yeah.
My
Oh, you should
favorite.
watch, I'm not sure if it's in theaters anymore, but Kokuho, it's a Japan submission for the
Mhm.
Oh,
Oscars.
okay.
It's been shortlisted, so we got a chance
Yeah.
Wait,
for the Oscars. So I
Yeah.
would definitely
Yeah.
recommend that. A
Yes.
bit probably biased, but that's okay. Shoot, anything I like. Honestly, like I feel like a lot's happened this year. And
K-pop Demon Hunters. That's been
yeah,
a big part of our
but,
year.
like, because so much has happened, a lot of the funny stuff like, what is funny has changed so much in just, like,
mhm.
Sure.
10, 12 months. Like, Severance used to be funny, but not anymore in maybe the current context. Pluribus, right now on Apple TV,
Oh, I heard
is
that's
getting
really
a lot
good.
of yeah, it's getting a lot of traction because it's really hitting what's funny now. It's a little bit scary, but
It's
it's a
dark.
little
It's
funny.
darker.
It's
It's
dark
darker
comedy.
humor. Yeah.
And I think we might be shifting maybe towards the course of this year. We started going towards dark comedy. And by next year, we'll be on
I
a
I
very
actually think that
dark comedy
I actually think
streak.
I
Yeah.
think that's
And
insightful, and I think we've been
yeah,
doing that for a few years actually. Because if you think about
yeah,
it, like the Will Ferrell era of comedy is
right.
kind of over, and it is more of these darker humor shows that seem to be
Yeah, because
sticking.
I just saw a trailer for Melania, and apparently she EP'd that. And there's
Wow.
kind of a touch of a dark comediness. She does, um, like Melania in the film. I
Mhm.
didn't really see who the actor was, but she does do like a direct to camera address kind of thing.
This is
So there's kind of
Melania
like a
Trump. You're talking about Melania Trump as a
Melania,
film?
yeah, as
Like
a
like a
film. It's
narrative? A narrative
um
film?
apparently I just saw it on the news this morning, but I was like, that's already tongue in
Hmm.
cheek, kind of leaning towards dark comedy a bit. And apparently like all of it,
Well,
yeah, all of it
it's
had
gonna
her
fit in
approval.
some category of dark, well,
I
intentionally or not
know.
intentionally. We'll see. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm usually not much of a comedy person. Like the Will Ferrell era, it was over the top, cute, fun. But I think coming into the dark comedy era, I might be fully on to
Yeah.
But I think
on the
again, I
current
think
boat.
to your point, I think it reflects what's going on in the world right now, right? Like
Yeah.
we don't want to just laugh at nonsense. We want to be kind of like intrigued but still laugh, or we want to go through some suffering and then laugh, right? It's just like a
Yeah,
weird
or else
state of
that
our psychosis.
Yeah.
yeah, or else that like the ha ha ha, am I gonna be canceled? Like
Yeah,
Mhm.
that
yeah, yeah.
reality.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, thank you for spending so much time with us today.
Thank you.
Yay.
We are fans of the film, and sometimes we interview people who make these short films, and then people want to watch it, and we're like, I don't know what to tell you. How will
Oh,
people watch
yeah.
Yonsei?
So, I guess depending on when this comes out, so we have a screening in January in New York City as a part of Dances with Films, New York.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then we will be screening in Napa Valley at the beginning of February as a part of Napa Valley Asian
Mm,
American Film Festival.
okay. Great.
Nice.
And then we also we just found out we're going to be screening as part of films. I know, screaming.
Yeah.
As a part of Films of Remembrance So Films of
Oh,
Oh,
Remembrance
great.
has 10 films about the camps that they screen
mhm,
in
Yeah.
San Francisco, San
mhm,
Jose, Little Tokyo, and Gardena.
mhm.
Um, so that will be at the
Nice.
end of February and the end of March. So it's just doing the festival circuit,
Okay.
and then
Right.
we do hope to have it live online somewhere so that
Yeah.
Is there socials? Do you have socials for the short?
I've just been doing it on my own personal
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Instagram, but
What's
I
your
like
handle?
it's so my handle is at Rachel_Michiko, and that's where I've just been posting about upcoming
Cool.
screenings and what we
Perfect.
have
Yeah.
screened.
Yeah, and we'll put this out into the socials
Yeah.
anyway, and you can
And we always
regrab whatever
encourage,
you wanna say.
we always encourage our audience to go to some of these film festivals because that is where you see some just tremendous work from our people. So it's great.
Mhm.
And you'll probably meet Junko, and I'll try to come to the Napa one because that's in
Oh,
my neck of the
amazing.
woods. So that'd be great.
True. Yeah.
Junko,
Yeah,
you've
yeah, yeah.
got you want to
Yes.
ask her our
Yes.
signature question?
Yes, because we're called United by Rice, we always like to ask okay, you probably know this question, but what is your
Mm,
favorite rice dish, including
yes, I
rice
thought about
noodles?
this.
Yay.
It's, um, it's really simple. Well, actually, one of the something that I haven't had in a while, I used to always have ochazuke growing up, but I will say that my favorite was, making musubis
Oh,
uh, with shiso and
Hmm,
umeboshi.
mhm.
That is my go-to favorite that I still
Nice,
do to this day.
what's
nice.
the umeboshi? What umeboshi?
Umeboshi is like the Japanese pickled plum. It's very sour.
Oh,
It's kind
okay.
of an acquired taste. But yeah, growing up, like I had this one friend, Gigi. Anytime she came over to my house, she went straight to the rice cooker and we had the little
Mm.
molds to make
Yeah,
musubis. And
yeah,
she
yeah.
would put the rice with the umeboshi and the nori, and it was so good.
Yep.
Oh, wonderful.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's always a simple dish too. That's always the answer. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yep. Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. Good luck on the
Thank
circuit
you.
as you continue to go.
Thank
And it's been a
you.
pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you so much. It was so nice chatting with you both, and thank you so much for doing this podcast. I think it's really great that you guys give a platform to
Oh, good.
Asian American artists.
Well, we
Yay,
appreciate you.
thanks.
Thank you.